to the Renegade Trading Community weekly mentoring session. Tonight we are going to switch things up just a little bit. We are going to do a little bit of a trade review and interview tonight with Jersey, or as he's known in the room, 12M Hustle. So just to provide a little bit of background, I've been talking to Jersey, I think for maybe 6 months or a year on Instagram before he joined the room. And we would just chat a little bit about, the stocks that we traded for the day. And, if we took a loss, we'd support each other and stuff like that, just, through chat on Instagram. Then I think about 2 months ago, he came to me, said he was looking for basically a new trading home. And he's been part of the family ever since. Now, he just went on vacation last week. He got some needed R&R in, some nature, some sunshine, etc., cleared his mind. Mind you, he kept trading on his phone on the way to the airport and even on the way back from the airport, again from his phone. But today was the first day back at the screens, and he made a cool $2,700. And I'll show you what the breakdown looks like in terms of his P&L. So right there, you can see it. You guys can see my screen, right?
Yep.
Okay, so right there, so two big plays, PROG, $1,300 there. OCGN, another $1,200 there, and then some smaller trades, about $150 off MYSZ and Mogo and EQOS. I traded EQOS; it was a good trade, but great profit for being the first day back at the screens from a vacation. So let's take a minute and walk through your trades. So I pulled up your trades first of all from your chart. And this is the prog trade, and you tell me how you want to do it. I've also got it up on my TC2000. There's a lot of entries and a lot of exits here, and I know how you like to trade, but maybe you can sort of walk us through the thought process, and you tell me, is it better like this, or do you want to look at sort of a fresh slate on my TC2000 here?
Yeah, let's look at that fresh slate, so that way I can talk off levels and people kind of know what that they kind of get the whole picture, because now they see how the day played out, right?
Right. So yeah, Go ahead, walk us through sort of what you were thinking and how this happened and what was going on.
So Prague, I had just a little FYI for everybody. I had been trading this stock for, I want to say 5 days, almost 6 days prior week. So I kind of had a really good idea of how it trades, right? So I knew its personality, so I felt a lot of confidence there, which led me when I woke up at 3:30 a.m. West Coast time, which would be 6:30, I believe, New York time.
Right.
3 hours difference. So I took my first piece at that level that I saw close to 5. I had these lines drawn on this chart prior to even trading this. So these lines were drawn like a whole week ago, right? And the whole reason I draw these lines is if I see an opportunity, I'm going to take it. No ifs and buts about it, I will take a piece. But I had so much confidence in Prague because I was waiting for this play for a week. So I came in and pretty heavy size for me was 2,000 shares, which is really heavy for me. I usually don't like going in that heavy my first pop because I'm usually wrong. I like to scale in within 200 shares. But I went ahead and took 2,000, and as you can tell, it just became a waterfall. So I just literally started covering at levels. So it starts going into the wash, and I start paying myself. Because if you pay yourself, you do not go broke. I start reshorting levels. So I have 440, I have 401, and I have 347 as my levels, correct?
So let me sort of do that again. You had 440, so 440, and then you had what?
$4.
$4 even. Okay.
And then I had the last one was a 347.
347. Okay, perfect.
And as you guys can see on the chart, these are the levels that I use as my support and resistance, and I would literally just cover my my biggest position. So that first flush, I did cover 50% because I always want to cover myself right against risk, because I always think, what if I'm wrong? And if I'm wrong, if they swipe this above back to 6, if I'm too heavy in this position, I will not be able to have wiggle room. In case I did locate for 6,000 shares, guys, but I never want to be in a position, especially pre-market, where I'm in full size 6,000 shares, right? Because I could be dead wrong, and then I could just blow myself up. So I never want to be that. Max I ever want to be pre-market for my trading style is between 30 to 40%.
Right. Okay, so let's just switch back to, just so we can see exactly how you did it with your entries. So right away, this one here was your $2,000 entry. and
Hmm.
then right away you started covering, and then right away it looks like you started recycling again, right? And it was
Yes,
just
sir.
cover, 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 recycle, 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 and then you're watching your P&L just go boom, 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 climbing up as you're following through with all this.
Yes, correct.
Okay, so so let me ask you a question. So after it got all the way down here pre-market and started bouncing back up, you were still interested, you still had a lot of gas, and you figured that you could just sort of, was your plan to trade it all day?
Oh
Or
yeah, no. My plan was Prague was my number one, and only because I believed that I was hoping for a pop, honestly. So what it gave me is not what I was hoping for. I was hoping for a pop back to 470, but it did not give me that pop. Didn't even give me back to 440, I think. Right? Yeah, not even close. So I was planning on trading this ticker all day because I was hoping for if you go to the end, if you go back to your chart, you
right?
see the end of play after market, they hit 359. I had waited for
Yes.
that 359 all day, but I got so frustrated. I was like, you know what? Why am I sitting here? Excuse my French, but penny fucking. I'm just gonna take my W and I'm gonna walk. But I waited for that play all day.
Gotcha. Sometimes that burns, but I mean, at the end, I mean, to keep things in perspective, you grabbed a ridiculous amount of profit off it, so that's great. Okay, very cool. Is there anything that you would have done differently?
Yes, I would have wished that when I saw that wick, I don't even know if that wick would have got failed, but I'm sure you see it on your chart. There's a wick to like 435.
This one right here?
Yep. I
Yeah.
wish I would have got a piece of that. I didn't get enough, so I only got a little small size because it was going to be my starter size into my next full size position because I was hoping that they were going to continue the trend back up because I believe they wanted to pretty much unfuck themselves, but I was wrong. Right? That's why I mean, like, you could be wrong. So if you're wrong, sometimes it's good, but sometimes it's bad as well. You might not get the whole piece of the meat, but we're not in this game to go get the whole piece of the meat, right? We just want a piece of the pie.
Understood. And so let me ask you a question. So you talked at the beginning about the fact that you've traded Prague, and I know, and I talk to you every day. I mean, you traded Prague, I think almost every day, sort of since it's been in action. How big of an impact do you think that has on your confidence and your ability to trade it? Sort of understanding the personality of the stock. Is it everything, or is it just sort of, a little bit better?
No, it's a definitely a 60% because if I didn't know the personality of Prague, I would not sit there and feel confident to pay 150 in locates for 6,000 shares, right? At least that's not my style. So if I'm going to pay that much in locates, I had better believe that there's some type of edge that I have in this stock, or I know its personality, or I know how it trades. Like, beyond the news and everything, I need to know what type of traps it does because I need to be prepared. For example, OCGN, there's no way I will locate for 6,000. Like, it's not going to happen.
Right.
It's just not, and that's where knowing your stocks and knowing your personality of every stock has its way of trading. And if you do not know its personality and you just come in like willy nilly, you will get chopped up.
So when you go in, I mean, and obviously you and I both trade, day one stuff, that's just, it's up on whatever news. And then when you approach those different stocks where you don't know the stock that intimately, do you just reduce size then and you don't go as heavy or as aggressive?
I reduced size by 50% for
Right.
that
Okay.
same reason because I don't know. I play the pretty much the I don't know game, right? I mean, we talk about it all the time. Like, I think we traded a stock last week that moved almost $4. When
Right.
you have that type of move, if you're sitting there at 6,000 shares, depending on your account size, but I mean, 6,000 shares is a lot, right? For a $3-5 stock. If you're sitting there at 3,000 and you're just starting your position and the thing decides to rip $4 against you, you are going to be in a heap of trouble. You're going to be fighting that all day.
Right. And I mean, even I know that this stock, I mean, of course it did a crazy pre-market move, but generally it doesn't make insane moves like that during the day generally. So yeah, so that's a good point of knowing the personality of the stock, and sort of once it gets into a range, you sort of know exactly where your levels are and you can plan that out and be pretty confident in it. Okay, that's awesome. Anything else on the prog trade? And I mean, are you going to trade it tomorrow, or do you
Yep.
not know?
Nope. Nope. No, I will. So a big thing about my trading style that I've talked to a couple of people in the room is I like to plan my trades. My main focus trades that, day two, day three. I'm a big day two and day three guy. Like, I'm all about it because people forget about them. So there's still some meat left on the bone. I will trade this only because I think it's going to end the day at $4. There's still 45 minutes, right? But if it holds four and if it gives me 440 tomorrow, I will definitely. I'm interested as long as they don't squish it to 305. And the reason I say 305 is because that's the SSR line for what was for today. Make sense?
Right. Absolutely. Okay. Very cool. So let's take a look at your next trade then. So, so again, just to recap on Prague, that was $1,300 trade. You were in and out of it, know your levels, know your personality, attack it with massive confidence. And of course, with that confidence comes your ability to really lay in size from knowing your stocks. Awesome job. Okay, so next, as far as your big ticket winner for today was OCGN. So here's your OCGN trade. Again, take us through this. Do you want to take us through us on this, or do you want me to pull up the TC2000 for a fresh look?
Yep. Go ahead and pull up. Yep. I want everybody to see the big how it ends up the day, because there's something very particular here I want to show everybody to really pay attention on.
Okay.
So OCGN, I had my levels. I'll give you my levels so you can draw the lines. I had 1292,
1292,
1240, 1127, and 1043. And then my last level, which was SSR, which was 843, but double quote me on that, make sure I'm right.
sorry, 1127 and
843, which was SSR. I believe it was SSR.
843. Yep, that looks about right. Yeah, 9 point. Yep.
Okay, so these are the levels I was interested in. This is where I was like, all right, OCGen, like, and here goes where I talk about knowing your personality. I went in this stock with 100 shares as a starter. So that's why when you see my execution, it's gonna look like a Christmas tree, right? Because OCGN, I will not go in no 1,000 shares. It's not happening.
So that was this first entry down here. Okay,
yep.
so it looked like it was going to fail, made new lows, and you're like, this is going to dump. Let me jump in with 100 shares just to see what it does.
Yep.
Okay.
This is when sizing into your stock really matters, because OCGN is a big float. It likes to do a crazy move, like I was talking about, $2-3 moves. So you have to be able to give it wiggle room, and you have to have confidence in the trade. When it when it hit my 1292, I started putting in some size. So I was in this about 500 shares, which is for me on OCGN a lot. That's a lot because it's a $12 stock, $13 stock.
Agreed.
So I'm in 500, and I keep seeing that I don't want to tell you that I knew the dip was coming, but I kind of had a feeling, because one, there was a seller on the tape. Every time it hit 13, some guy would show massive 100,000 shares would just keep consistently, right? 1, twice, 3. And I was like, oh, well, that's weird. I'm like, there might do an up and over, right? Where you have a level, and everyone knows your level is 1292, but they're basically just trying to pretty much stop. They're trying to stop out people, right? Anyone that has a stop at 13, they're just getting them out. And then they will unload it. And when they unload it, the tape will pause for about 5 seconds. If you guys ever notice, it will pause for 5 seconds, and it will go 100 miles an hour, and then it will stop. It'll go into a halt, and then that's when they just pulled the rug.
Yeah, I've seen that before. So all of a sudden there's like a glitch in the matrix. You're like, wait, something changed on the tape. Like you can sense that, the rhythm stopped or something like that. And yeah, I mean, now that I look back, I mean, I wasn't trading this, but now that I look back, you can see plainly throughout the whole morning, it climbs up, it dumps, climbs up, dumps. There is dumping of shares going on, right? Even though it climbs up here, it's dumping. All right, good call. Carry on.
Yep. So it dumps, that massive dump, and I'm like, oh, sweet, let's get it. So once that happens, I cover 75%. The reason for that being is because I do not want to get screwed, right? If I'm wrong.
Sorry, you covered at the 1240 line or down here near to the 1128?
No, 1127. I covered 75%. In the middle of that,
switch back here for a second.
Yeah, in the middle of that, you see me covering and then re-adding. You see that big dump?
Yep.
As it's dumping, I'm covering, but I'm also re-adding because I want to better my average. So I'm trying to better my average because I'm telling myself, if this fails VWAP, it's going to dump again, right? And what does it do? Fails VWAP, and I just add again at that 1127, and I use that as almost as my new entrance, right? So it switches from support to resistance in my mind. So I'm like, all right, let's hit it again. And then it drops to 1043. I cover some more at 1043.
1043. Wow. Okay. Perfect.
And then I'm pretty much in it. I think I just let it hang around there for a minute. I want to say I take another piece when it fails VWAP one more time. I go in again, and I tell myself I will trade this stock until SSR. When SSR hits, I will no longer trade the stock. And that's why you see my last cover there. Like that was it. I was done.
Last
No
cover,
more.
you're out and into the profit.
Yep.
Well
And
done.
my rule is I just want to give everyone a heads up. When something goes SSR, don't be greedy. Take your money and run. Especially just on, this was a hot chick today. To me, this was a hot chick. Everybody eyes were on it. I think it had news behind it. I'm not sure. But if you're in this type of play and you've made your money all morning, why are you going to sit here and get screwed? Right? Because if you were greedy, look what happened to you. You got squeezed all the way back to almost 11. Right? Why
Yes.
do that? Why do that?
The stock is notorious for squeezing, definitely post-market. That's a fantastic trade. Again, I mean, amazing confidence, amazing ability to recognize what's going on with the stock and understanding the story behind the stock. So I think that is really clever on your part. And I think you have great confidence in yourself and the ability to do that. So again, great trade. I'm not going to go through the smaller trades just because, I mean, you know, great additions, but I mean, the meat and potatoes of what you did today was on Prog and OCGN. So it's fantastic work there. So I have a couple questions for you, if that's okay.
Yeah.
So when you first joined the room, you shared with me that you seem to be stuck in this sort of lower P&L range, and that you had, you know, you had no problems making $100, $200, $300 a day, but you were sort of stuck there. And then since that time, you've just been steadily and consistently trending up. Like, you came into the room and all of a sudden, you know, it's 200, 300, 500, 700, $1,000 days, $1,500 days, now $2,700 days. So what changed?
Confidence, and learning from everyone in the room. Learning from you, learn from everyone. I mean everyone. Everyone. I will pay attention to how you guys long, because I need to know how someone longs in order so I can take the other side of that trade, right? Because if I don't know how someone longs, then I'm just screwing myself, right?
Yeah, makes
So
sense.
I've taken a lot of knowledge from everyone in the room, no matter how new, no matter what your account size, I don't care, no matter where you're from. I will sit there and I will watch all your guys' charts. I will go every day and go through the charts and see where you entered and what was your kind of thesis behind it, just from looking at your charts. And just confidence. I mean, confidence is 50% of the game. Confidence, believing, following my rules. A new rule that I stuck to myself was don't put major size under VWAP.
Right.
And that's been my biggest, I want to say, if I recommend any tip to anyone's trading, however you trade, try that out. Try not putting more than 30, 40% under VWAP. Just try that. If you're above VWAP on any stock, I don't care about the flow. I don't care about just try it and trust me, it will change your trading, because you will no longer have FOMO, right? If you're in this share, 100 shares on a stock above VWAP, it's overextended. You're in a good spot, right? Because your control size, you're above the VWAP. You know that most stocks need to go back to the mean. I'm not saying they can't, but 90% of the time they will at least give you that. So you can always kind of unscrew yourself, I guess is the best way I can explain that.
It makes sense, because even if you don't get that full failure, a lot of times, even when they're climbing up, they will snap back to VWAP. So there's actually, I see the I see how that could definitely benefit you. You don't actually like need a full failure all the time. As long as that your average is above VWAP, you can most of the time get out of there with profits. That's really smart. Next thing, I also want to congratulate you. You told me today that you quit your job to focus full time on trading. So congratulations. Can you tell
Thank
us
you.
just a little bit about that? Like, how did you make that decision?
Yeah, I'm gonna go full blast on this. I'm gonna let you guys a little info about my personal life, just because I want to show you guys that if you're in a good position, you guys can do it too. Basically, I went on vacation, took a 4-day, went to Colorado, literally went to the middle of nowhere. I got an Airbnb. I stayed on the land that was 46 acres, and I just thought to myself, why am I was working 2 jobs. I was working from 4 in the morning all the way till 7 p.m. Wasn't spending time with my wife. Wasn't seeing my mom. Wasn't really getting any workouts, and my workouts were struggling. I was like, I felt like I gained 10, 12 pounds. I was like, this sucks. Like I was making money, but it was like, I was not happy. Right. I was like, what is the money worth if I'm not happy? I'm destroying my health and my family is not seeing me. So all this came together, came to the choice. I said, you know what? I'm going to quit. At the airport, literally used my wife's phone. I said, hey, I'm going to quit today. She's like, what? I was like, I'm going to quit. I'm done. I'm going to give trading 100%. And if I cannot do it, giving trading 120%, then I shouldn't be a trader, right? But if I'm going to sit here and say, hey, I want to trade, but I'm only giving 40% or I'm half-assing things, then that's not really me giving 100% effort. right? But most of the time as humans, if we give something 100% and we put our back against the wall, we will succeed. It's just the way we are. It's either do or die. It's in our nature. But if we have a safety net, I feel like people, they lack discipline, they don't follow the rules, they don't put in the study time. And I feel like in trading, if you want to succeed, you need to almost give yourself no way out.
Put yourself in the corner. I love it. And I think like you sort of talked about this a little bit already. And I mean, I look at your trades, and I'll admit you seem to trade fearlessly. And I think you actually already talked about this with massive confidence, right? So I mean, I think I was going to ask you where that comes from, but I think a lot of it comes from sort of understanding the play, and then you already talked about it from knowing the personality of stocks. I guess, what do you suggest for other people looking to trade as fearlessly and with as much confidence as you? How do you suggest they get there?
Okay. My biggest thing is, I mean, I must preach this every day. It's size control. It
Right.
is the holy grail. If you can size control, you can be wrong on a ticker and you can still make money. Honestly, like you could be dead wrong. You could be like, this thing could be ripping faces. And if you are sized on any ticker, if you're, let's say your account, you have a $5,000 account, I'll give you an example, you're only using 100 shares, right?
Yep.
You're taking 20 share entries, you would have made money on prog. Even if you would have did your first entrance at the bottom, even with that.
Agreed. And that's what I love about scaling in a small size, because I mean, even down here you have some, you have some entries that are at the bottom, but it doesn't
Mhm.
matter because overall your average is up there, right? So it allows flexibility in your trades. All right, so that's really good. So lastly, I mean, and I think we can all speak to this. I don't think I've ever met anyone with as much positive energy as you. You always seem happy. You always seem super pumped. I mean, do you just get out of bed every morning like that, like so excited? Like, how do you keep that up? Where does that come from?
So one, I don't. Two, what gets me pumped is I live next to a park, right? It's my backyard, the park, public park, and there are 10 bums that live there every day. And I like to take a walk every day after
So,
I'm done
sorry,
trading.
like homeless people?
Yep, like homeless
Oh,
people. Yep.
okay.
Like, and this is gonna sound weird, but I like to take a walk and I like to see them and I like to remind myself, how good do I have it, right? So whenever I feel sorry for myself or I feel like I'm having a shitty day, I'm like, bro, are you really having a shitty day? Like these people sleep in the park, don't have any food, get rained on, have to deal with the wind. You have a house, you have money in the bank, you have your bills paid, your whole family is healthy. You are truly blessed and you're rich more than you think. But as humans, I think we kind of forget that. So I try to remind myself of that every day.
We do, absolutely. And I agree. I think sometimes practicing gratitude is such a huge thing, and I don't always succeed with it, but I do try and do this exercise in the morning with, rather than saying, oh, I have to do this or I have to do this, switched around to say, I get to do this. I get to, get up and day trade with all these cool guys and have fun and all these things. I mean, we have nothing to complain about. This is fantastic. We don't want for anything. We're warm, we have food, we have, everything is taken care of for us. Overall, we do live a life of luxury compared to most in the world. So I do think it's very important and very humble of you to keep that in perspective. So kudos to you for that. Um, I guess in general, other than what we've talked about, do you have any other advice for people looking to do what you've done? Anything else you want to add here?
My number one thing would be don't give up. Like I know they say it so many times, but I'm going to tell you, anyone that listens to this, I have lost 25 grand. I think I texted, email, I think I messaged you when I lost $4,000 in a day. I don't know if you remember that. I
I know
lost
we've talked about losses, so yeah.
So I lost about $4,000 in a day. I was probably the closest I had been to quitting because I've been training for 3-4 years. I'm like, dude, what am I doing? And I was pretty close to quitting. And my wife told me, you know what? You've given 3 or 4 years of your life. Why are you gonna back down now that it gets hard? So I don't care how hard it is for anyone that's trading right now, how low you've been, how shitty your trading's been for a week, a month. I don't care. Just think about it and use your imagination and think, if he can do it, why can't I? Just ask yourself that every day and just don't give up. You're going to get there. Just take baby steps. Base hits will get you to the World Series. You don't need a home run. Don't let social media and fucking Twitter, like everyone watches Twitter and everybody wants to make 40 racks in a day. Like you always say, if you make $1,000 a day, do the math.
100%, absolutely. And yeah, and I agree with that wholeheartedly. That's fantastic advice. Well, Jersey, thanks so much. I am extremely excited to see, first of all, to see what for what you've done and sort of the progress that you've made. I'm extremely excited to see what you're going to do next. And again, I really appreciate you, and the value that you bring to the room and to the team. And if anyone is looking to connect with Jersey, he's in here, the Renegade Trading Community chat room. I will post the link to join the chat room in the comments below. I will also post his Instagram handle. So if you're looking to follow him, he's got some